Welcome to the Regular Joe's podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
And I'm Todd Pleasant.
Hopefully I don't have to say this much. I'm already sick of it. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yes.
I know it's, as you listen to this, it's like the 8th-ish of January, so I'm sure you're already sick of saying Happy New Year. But this is our first show back. Thank you for bearing with us as we took... Did we only take a week off?
We only really took a week off.
Took a week off. Yep.
Felt longer.
But we put out quite a bit of material the last 2 weeks of December, so hopefully the listening audience, hopefully the listening audience didn't miss the fact that we took a week off. And I know I said this in the last show, but I did actually I started listening to just a little bit of the first of the Rhode Island shows, and when we were interviewing the guys from Karate Kid and C. Thomas Howell, we were shitting our pants. It's so funny to listen to us then.
We were also
as interviewers.
We were also more sober
they were
than we
also
ever were
drunk,
later.
and Martin Cove was scary.
Martin Cove scares. I mean, just think it's.
But he wasn't until we sat down, and thankfully he just kind of.
He was awesome.
We just sat there dumbly, asked the question, and he just went off.
He was great. So,
but
again,
there is
for somebody who people had far more experience being interviewed than we did interviewing.
Well, but it was kind of like, and I think it might have been C. Thomas Howell that was like, all right, I'm here. What do you want to talk to me about? Like, it was kind of like they could tell we were unprepared.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, there was no question that he was playing that.
Did we?
So
no, I'm trying to think, and I haven't listened back to the shows in a while. I've listened to them since then, but I know we sat down to do a show. Did we have the idea that we would?
We had no clue we were going to
interview people.
Yeah.
Or
I
was
think
that
our idea was, well, wouldn't it be great if? But it's not like we had put any thought into, well, what will we ask C. Thomas Howell if he sits down with us?
Yes. Yeah. It was as much a surprise to us as to them. So, anyways.
But when we sat down to do the recording, we thought maybe because had we seen sort of guests in the lobby the year before? No, we had talked about this on the show floor and said, hey, wouldn't it be great? Let's just sit down and just see what happens. Because we originally talked about just recording in the room. And then when we looked at the atrium
the configuration,
we were like, we could just do this. And because I remember talking about it like 3 times during the day and then being surprised that we actually did it and being sure that we were going to get thrown out. So it was awesome. It's some of the best fun that we've had.
It got to the point years later when the hotel security asked if we wanted anyone else thrown out if they were bothering us.
Exactly. We got to the point where we figured out really how to work security and just
I missed the Omni. It's going to be good to get back there.
We'll go back there.
It goes back to the old adage of if you just act like you belong somewhere, for the most part, people leave you alone.
and 3 years of practice. So
Yep.
So
anyway, so check those shows out. They're up there. Are they? Well, we don't number the shows.
No, we numbered them.
It's 368
and 369.
Oh, it is? Yeah. Okay, so this is 370. I did not know that.
Yep.
I haven't obviously looked at our feed in a while.
It's okay. I got you covered.
Cool. But so we are back.
2021.
It's bad out there, people.
Yeah.
Still wear a mask. Yep. I'm telling you, it's even worse.
Yeah, it is.
It is worse. Crazy. Let's go random quickly, and then we got a bunch of different things to talk about.
Yeah,
bunch of stuff. So let's go random. Todd, you said you had something.
Okay,
quick?
So it is January 5th, and as of this day, contrary to what you might read in the internet, Joe Biden is still president-elect, and Tanya Roberts is still dead. Okay, Dave, go.
Is she? I thought she was alive.
No, she is now deceased.
Then they confirm she's dead.
What the hell? That was crazy yesterday.
Yep. The internet, Twitter does not make you dead, nor does it make somebody else president. So it's like.
But I thought that I read that she was reported dead, and then they were like, no, she's still very much alive.
She lived another 24 hours. And then,
I didn't read that part. Okay, well, I'm sorry to see that.
It's crazy. Rest in peace, Tanya Roberts. Yeah. And if you don't know who she is, watch Beastmaster.
Yeah,
she's
Beastmaster.
I thought you were going to go for the Bond movie she was in, but okay, Beastmaster.
I hate that Bond movie.
That's a bad Bond movie.
To me, that is the worst of the Bond movies.
It's definitely one of the worst Bond movies, and and she didn't add a lot to Charlie's Angels.
She was on that 70s show. Go watch an episode of that 70s show.
Yeah.
I never watched that. I mean,
it's a fun show.
It was a fun show, and she did good by that point, and she kind of was able to act at that point. But she could not act when she did Charlie's Angels. It was funny. She didn't know who she was talking to sometimes. Like when she was, it was just like, yeah, it was really, yep. It was
Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, and Beastmaster. She's very naked in Beastmaster. I met her at a show once. Very nice woman.
Yeah,
and had no problem signing photos that were of her nude scenes in the movies.
Okay.
Gotta appreciate. She's like,
for you, Dave, or someone else in line?
She's like, your money's green.
I remember saying that.
Give me the photo.
Barry, you didn't have anything?
I got nothing random this week.
I don't necessarily have a random, but I was looking through sort of scheduling of what's coming up. I got to tell you, and there's not the CW stuff is coming back. I'm dreading it. I don't know. I just don't think I could do it.
I'm not, because I gave up on all of it, and it's been very...
Even Flash? Did you give up?
Think about this. Batwoman was so bad that the lead did not come back.
I know.
Okay.
But I did not finish Supergirl or The Flash. I still have them on my DVR. I have not watched them. I don't think I can go back.
I have 8 episodes of The Flash left, and I haven't gone back and watched them, and I don't know that I'm going to.
I finished everything, and I will watch The Flash, and I will watch Legends of Tomorrow, and Supergirl. But it's just because I don't sleep. But
in the middle of COVID, Josh and I said, well, you know what? Why don't we watch those Flash episodes we didn't watch? So we watched 1 or 2 that we hadn't seen. And I got to the one with Grodd, and I was just like, I can't watch this anymore.
Yeah.
I just can't.
I'm telling you, I don't know. And I look every so often, I mean, in the midst of COVID, and there's nothing new on, and it's the week, and I go, and there's nothing on my DVR new. And I just could not bring myself to watch those things. I mean, Batwoman comes back on the 17th of this month. Flash comes the end of February, and Supergirl's not till spring. But
we got WandaVision on the 15th. That's coming.
I'm a little concerned about that too.
Have
either of you watched Cobra Kai season 3? I have not watched.
We'll get to that. We're going to get to that in the next.
Okay.
Well, not really.
Yeah.
Are we? We'll get to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't watch it yet, so I got nothing to say about it.
That was my sort of random, I just am dreading it. There's not a lot to watch. And I don't know if there's
been some stuff. I mean, I know we're going to talk about what we watched while we were on break, but I've been busy watching stuff, and maybe it's not all new. I've been catching up on some things I didn't see that maybe you guys recommended or other people recommended. So I feel like I've been pretty busy watching stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, I have, but it's certainly not the... Oh my God! I have 5 things on my DVR that I got to watch this week so I don't get backed up. I certainly don't have that.
And I got excited that Shameless came back, and then the last couple of episodes have been like these greatest hits episodes, and I'm like, why are they doing this? But I guess they're just trying to fill the season out. So
I'm still a season behind on that.
Yeah.
So
anyway, but you know who's not confusing and don't know what to do with it? Fanboy Collectibles. I don't know what that even means.
They're not a season
check
behind.
them out.
Yeah, they've got all the newest stuff.
Hot Toys Mark V diecast reissue. Didn't we talk about that?
No, we talked about the Mark 85 reissue. And this is actually one that I hoped they were going to reissue. Both this, like I say, Hot Toys is smart. Both this figure and the Mark 85 were going for over $1,000 on eBay. And they were like, shit, let's just make more. And they were both limited releases because this one particularly was a reissue of a previous figure. And but yeah, good on them.
There you go.
This is great.
You can get them.
Yep.
Check them out.
Yep.
Also, Thundercats. A bunch of Thundercats stuff are up. Nebula, Hot Toys Nebula from Endgame, I think it was.
At least
right?
2 of us will be getting that figure. So
yes. Plus, there's Pops, and there's Sideshow, and there's Kotobukias, and there's other Hot Toys, and everything you need. Check them out. FanboyCollectibles.com. Check them out at their store in Newtown, Connecticut. Tell them the Regular Joe sent you. Okay. So Todd had suggested a sort of several things that we can go over.
Kind of a catch-up episode.
Yeah. So first thing is, he said, show and tell a Christmas gift. So different from what's in the box.
Yep.
And I'm probably not going to throw bumpers in on all this stuff because there's a lot of them.
There's a lot
but
to do. Yeah.
Show and tell a Christmas gift. Todd, why don't you go first?
Okay.
What are you showing and telling?
So
it's not socks, I hope.
I am holding a large metal letter P. Yes. Any ideas where this comes from?
I feel like I'm on Sesame Street right now, but
this episode is brought to you by the letter P.
You asking who gave it to you?
No, I'm saying where this would be used. It's got little
pizza
notches
parlor
in the back.
Is it from a pizza parlor?
Nope.
I don't know.
This is from a theater marquee. This is basically, I can tell, somewhere between 40s and 50s era theater marquee letter. Okay,
those are the ones that go up on
the marquee. Okay, for the movies, and it's been repainted dozens of times, clearly. And this is from my local movie theater, where I've been going to since I was a kid. This week they shut down. It's the first time they've actually been shut down, not for renovations, and hopefully they'll be coming back in March. But they had a sale, and they're going to do a new sign, and they sold probably electronic, and they sold all the old letters off. And so
they've been using those letters like up until now, or
I think they've actually got. I think they have plastic insert ones they use now, but they still had these because they have everything that's ever been in the theater. Was built in 1929. It was a vaudeville theater.
Oh, wow.
Built at the very end of vaudeville. And so anyway, so I got one of these as a gift, and I thought that was like a really, really cool thing to have. And I thought, like, since I know somebody who's got a theater room, having a second P might be a good thing. You could hang that in the wall. And then since we're going with P's, I figured we could go with a K.
Oh, nice.
I got one for you, Barry, also.
Awesome.
And then I realized that our initials together are James Bond's gun. We are P.
Nice.
So anyway,
That's
I got
cool.
one of these for each you, and it's just this, kind of dirty old repainted letter, but that's what it is. It's from
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
The Garden Theater in Greenfield. It's been here since 1929, and hopefully they will be coming back in the post-COVID era. So a neat little memento.
I wouldn't have thought they were metal even back then in the day.
Yep. And they if you see sometimes, I think there's I'm trying to think what the movie is. Brad Pitt. There's a little movie theater in France. It's a World War II movie. Oh, Inglourious Bastards. And they're putting these up with a pole, and the pole is a magnet on it. And so they would hang them and then pull down, and that's how they would do it, because they would just like set them onto the tracks. And so
that's cool.
Anyways,
you got to find a picture of the theater.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like with the thing on. That'd be cool to put next to it.
Yep.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Barry, what about you?
Surprisingly, I'm going to do a Hot Toys figure because I got one for Christmas. And it's awesome. This is the Mandalorian Hot Toys Incinerator Trooper. And it's just a cool figure.
That is very cool.
It's a stormtrooper, but he's got a flamethrower backpack that's got the Imperial cog on it in red. And it's got this simulated fire blast thing coming out the front of it. And
that's cool.
Yeah, and it's cool. And it's, I thought maybe it was like a repurposed thing from another figure, but this flamethrower's got these two little pipes at the bottom and then the main chute, and it's actually got pieces that are made to go in each one of those places. So like it's definitely like a custom piece made just for that to come out of that flamethrower thing. But
so he's got a very different deco to him. I wonder if that's like to tell the other troopers to stay the hell away from him.
This is the fire guy. The red accents on his it's basically a sand trooper with red stripes and a flamethrower. But I don't know. It was one of those things where I jokingly said to Maria, well, that would make a cool Christmas gift, because it wasn't one I had bought for myself. And it was wrapped up under the tree for me this year. So,
and it's also interesting that his pack is not white.
Yeah, I mean, and his pack and his gun are the same kind of like gray metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, one other thing cool. I want to show you, and I don't know if this is going to come across on camera, but I got a Mandalorian Baby Yoda pen that when you turn it upside down, he drifts.
I
thought that was cool. So he goes in and out of his little egg carrier.
Look at that.
No, that's funny.
So I was at a COVID testing thing at work this past weekend, and the residents who live at the school were bringing in their kids, and they were getting tested also because they live on campus. And one of the little kids had the cutest Baby Yoda sweater that you've ever seen. He was just little tiny, like maybe 5-year-old, and it had it was this green sweater, and it had Baby Yoda sitting in the little creche thing, but it was done like a Christmas sweater. I was like,
that's
awesome.
Funny.
Just bringing that.
There's a ton of Baby Yoda stuff.
Yep.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
So Dave, what do you got?
I have a tool. I got this as a gift. This is the Milwaukee. This is one of those oscillating tools.
Yep.
I've been talking about how much I like. It's already scratched up because I've used it a couple times. I've really grown to love the Milwaukee tools. Their platforms are great, but I have one of these that's corded, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. So to have a battery operated one, do you guys have multi tools? These things, these oscillating things.
I don't have one. I'm not even sure what you use that for. Give me an example.
What this does, it does a couple of different things. So it sort of it vibrates. This has a blade on it.
Yeah.
Let me see. But it's a good way. This cuts wood, and if let's say you're cutting something that's flush, or this thing moves around the different angles, you just want to cut a square out without like plunging a saw into something.
Oh, okay.
You use that for that. You want to cut a hole in sheetrock.
Sheetrock's the only thing I've ever used one on, but it's great.
There are metal cutting blades. There's a scraper blade. There's also a sanding attachment that it gets into corners and stuff. If you're like sort of don't have a lot of tools, this is one tool that does a lot of different stuff.
It's a great paint stripper.
It's super handy. And this is the M12 line, 12 volt. So Milwaukee has 18 volt and 12 volt. This is plenty. They make an 18 volt version. I don't know why you'd need that, but I like this much better than my corded one. And I know Todd's issue is things don't come with batteries. I already have a bunch of batteries on the platform, but even just in general, an oscillating tool, or it's called a multi-tool, is something that you should have in your house. Everyone should get one.
I've never seen one of those before, and I have a lot of tools. I had never seen that. I'm gonna have to check that out.
It is very useful. It's like a grown-up Dremel in some ways.
Yeah, it does, but it does some things. This does some things that there's no other tool could do.
Yeah,
let's say you're putting in new flooring.
It's a much more heavy-duty tool.
Yeah. Let's say you're putting in new flooring and you got to like trim your baseboard because it won't fit in. This will go right on the ground and cut, and you can cut sort of move it along. There's no other tool that does that. I had to cut a box out in sheetrock instead of this. Literally does it in 10 seconds.
That's cool. Yeah, I've only ever used like one of those keyhole saws to cut holes in sheetrock. So.
And then the sanding attachment is great. There's certain things you can only get into like a corner with this kind of thing. So anyway,
nice.
I'll put pictures of that up.
That's great.
I did get a Baby Yoda. He's over here. He's on my desk right there.
Oh, nice.
The Hasbro Interactive.
That's the one I have. Yeah, I have that one. That's great.
Yeah, Pam gave me that. So that is the show and tell gift scenario. Next thing we were going to talk about is what we watched or something we watched over the break. Do we want to only say one thing or
one or two things? If there's something you kind of like binged or something like that, or that's kind of my idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got a few. Yeah, I've got a few. I'm late to the party on this, but I've made it through this first season of Umbrella Academy. I know the second season's already out, so I'm going to start that probably this week. I had watched the first episode when you first mentioned it and liked it, but never went back to it. And then somebody told my wife about it, and she actually wanted to watch it, so we watched it together. And I gotta say that was amazing. I don't know how the second season is, but the first season was great.
I'm so glad to hear. Barry,
so good.
I watched the second season thinking, why isn't Barry watching this? Because it's better than the first.
Okay, awesome. It was so good. I was like pleased.
It is offbeat in the way that you and I enjoy offbeat stuff.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't watch this.
No, I think you'd like it though. It's straightforward enough. It's straightforward enough. It's not like Legion that was completely out there.
Oh no, Legion was meant to break your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get to see once I'm sort of through this current batch of things, I think I'm going to be sort of definitely out of shows to watch.
But I definitely like the fact that I missed it because, in a time period like where I had nothing to watch, it was like the perfect thing, So it's nice.
And the
sometimes...
great thing is you have no wait for season 2.
Right. So sometimes it's nice to have a couple seasons out there of something that you haven't watched because then you can really dive in.
Yeah. 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 Season 2 is as gloriously messed up. It almost follows a track where you're going to like groan initially when you see what you think the premise is, and then you're going to realize, oh no, it is just so far beyond what it looks like it is, and yeah, very, very good. So
yes, that's one of the things I've been watching. Why don't one of you guys jump in?
I just on December 30th on Amazon they dropped the final half season, which is 10 episodes of Vikings, and I watched them in just under 24 hours.
Vikings was on History, wasn't it?
It was in History.
No. Okay.
And this it's a fantastic series. It's 6 seasons over, I think, 8 years. It's very confusing because seasons are actually, there's like one season spaced out over the course of, so there's like 10 episodes and then a hiatus and another 10 episodes. So it looks like there's 12 seasons of 10 episodes, but it's really, it's basically season of 18 to 20 episodes. This show has an arc like you would not believe. The main character who begins the series essentially dies halfway through, and it goes on to it's passed on to his children who carry it off, and it's great. I mean, it's the show probably spans like 40 years, and some of the best characters. It's really, really interesting stuff and really well made. Don't go too deep into the history, but it's it's super, and it ended well. It ended the way it should have, and really, really, really pleased with it. And I thought I'd watch a couple episodes at a time, and I just got sucked back in and just blew right through it. So, Dave, how about you?
I watched a bunch of stuff. I'm going to mention one and not get into it. I watched this Queens Gambit, which is not in our genre,
right,
but everyone was talking about it, so
I was going to mention that too.
We don't watch a lot of things. It's all right.
I liked it a lot.
I have not seen it yet, but everybody I have has seen it.
Biggest show on Netflix ever. I don't see that. That's crazy when you think of
because I
Stranger
think it
Things
appeals
and all that.
to such a broad audience. It's not a specific thing.
You also have to put an asterisk next to that in that there's probably more people watching streaming TV right now than any point in history.
So. And I'm not saying it's not good. I think she's terrific.
Yes.
I mean, the girl she plays a good range. She's, I found it entertaining. I mean, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I liked it.
So I did watch that. I watched the George Clooney movie Midnight Sky that was on.
I've heard not to watch it from a number of people that watched it.
Yeah, and I was looking forward to it. I had seen him in an interview, and he was talking about, they had shot it on 65 millimeter, and it was, but the story's not great. And he directed it. I like George Clooney. I like him as a person. I think he does a lot of good out there, and I do like him as an actor, but it was not great.
Yeah. Barry, you have another?
Well,
I have others, but
I'll mention the Disney Gallery, the Mandalorian season 2 episode that's out there. I don't know if either of you watched it.
I haven't watched that yet. I got to watch it.
Yeah, it's great. It's just it's an hour and 5 minutes. So I wish it was longer, and I wish it was a little bit more in depth, like the first season was. But it's great. So if you like Mandalorian, it's definitely worth the hour to watch it. Yeah, at some point, I think we're going to talk way more in depth about both Star Trek Discovery season
one
and The
one more
Expanse.
week of Discovery, so I think we should hit that next week.
Yes, but all I will say is The Expanse is fucking awesome.
It is.
It's just so good.
Yeah.
That we'll talk about it.
Up on The Expanse too. So we'll get
this
into
season of The Expanse has been great.
I will tell you, there's very few shows that I can, just because of the way my brain works, that I can go back and rewatch previous episodes of and just glean more stuff out of. And that show is so deep and so rich that it's
that's been my go-to show for like the last 5 weeks
this year. Where, and we'll get into
it. Yeah, we'll hit that one.
Not that it wasn't hard to follow; it was super hard to follow. But you're very conscious of we're here.
Yes,
there's a lot.
And if they've made a conscious effort to do that, good for them.
Again,
but out of all the shows that I've been watching,
true to the source material, which is amazing.
That's the one that I'm most excited for every week right now. Like,
I agree.
There's a new episode of The Expanse. I got to watch it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Though I will say another thing that I bet we're only 3 episodes in to, but the CBS streaming adaptation of the Stand is actually really good. I got to say they made a miniseries of it back in the 90s. It's incredibly long Stephen King novel. I think it's well over 1,000 pages. This does it so far. This does it justice. They did a really good job with the casting. The guy that played Teddy from Westworld is one of the leads. He was also Cyclops, and a bunch of other people who you'll recognize from different places. But so far, like I said, it's really well done. And I'm not a big. I like early Stephen King. After a while, I felt like it was just he was cranking it out too fast, and it was just what it was. This is early Stephen King done well and treated well, and I will say the narrative structure is better than the book, which is a slog. So that's good. And then I got one more. Dave, do you have more?
I would. Yeah, I can. Yeah.
So
you can go.
I went back and I watched. I watched the. It's been like in my queue forever. I watched the second season of Barry, which is just freaking amazing. I mean, it's another one of these things that the episodes are very short. There's 8 episodes. You could practically watch it in a sitting. But
I watched the first season. I never saw the second season.
Barry, watch the second season, because I was the same way. It's just one of these things that's almost forgettable. It's like, but the second season is really, really good. There is an episode that essentially is in mid-season. It's maybe 5th episode. I think it's called Ronnie and Lily. That is a almost real-time hit gone bad. Gone very, very bad. Okay? And it just keeps getting worse, and it just keeps getting worse, and it's almost painful to watch, but it's awesome. And so he goes to kill a guy, but not really, who's a Taekwondo champion, and after things go really, really badly, the Taekwondo's champion's daughter comes home, who's also a Taekwondo champion, and but like 12 years old.
That's funny.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So I would recommend that to anybody. It's for a show about a hitman. It's light. You don't have to think about it too much, but it is fun, and I think I might have liked the second season better than first. And Henry Winkler is just brilliant. I mean, he's fantastic as Gene Cousineau. He's great. So he's this acting coach who's becomes this guy's kind of Svengali, and as he's at one point, there's this very kind of heartfelt discussion between the two of them, and he opens his heart to Gene, and he tells him all these things that he's dealing with since Afghanistan, and Gene's being really, really supportive, and and then it says, okay, he said, you should know I bill separately for private lessons. I'm going to go get my ledger. It's totally on the clock. Okay, everything's at a cost. So, anyways, Barry, I definitely suggest Barry. Dave, what do you got next?
I did watch the first 2 episodes of Cobra Kai, and I guess you guys haven't watched it,
but not yet.
Maybe we'll talk about that later. It's so funny, not to give anything away, but if it wasn't for the nostalgia and it comes from it's great to watch, but it's just not. It's just a crappy show. It's just not made well. It's just.
I heard Howard Stern talking about it on the radio, and he basically said it's entertaining, but it's awful, but it's entertaining at the same time.
Exactly, that's totally it. I mean, if it just came on its own and there was no Karate Kid movie, you'd be like, this show is just horrible. But anyway, you know what? I'm not done with it yet, but I watched The Flight Attendant. Again, not our genre, but I've enjoyed it. It's definitely got this thriller, mystery kind of comedy thing. Have you guys watched any of it?
No, but I want to watch it because Penny's in it.
Oh yeah, Kaylee Cuoco's. She's actually, of course, very cute, but she's good in it, and it's definitely all her. And she just plays this flight attendant. It's just like off the rails. Yeah, it's definitely worth watching.
And I feel like that's one of those shows where I don't feel any pressure to watch it now because I know it'll be there, and I'll probably binge it at some point when all the episodes are out.
Yeah, they are all out already.
Oh, are they? Okay.
I don't know if it. I think they're all out, and I think it was picked up for season 2. But she's really good in it, and it's well made too.
People are talking about it as one of the best things of the year. So
really,
yeah,
I liked it better than Queens Gambit. I mean, the Queens Gambit was maybe a little more to it, but this is well made. I've enjoyed it. And she's actually really good. So anyway,
good.
That's it. Anyone else have anything else on that? Let us know out there what you guys are watched over the break. Not that it was a break, but I guess it was.
Oh, the holidays. Over the holidays.
Holidays. I did watch about 3 episodes of Channel 55 in Long Island had the Odd Couple marathon. It's so funny to see.
Which you can have any day of your life, Dave, because you get
can,
CBS All Access.
And I know. I just happen to be sitting there watching it. But... and I know this goes back to like the 4:30 movie. When I watched it on Channel 11 here in syndication, they just cut like 5 minutes out of episodes.
Oh, yeah.
There's stuff that you've never seen if you've only seen it in syndication. But anyway, so we're going to actually go to a what's in the box. Unlike the show and tell, this was what's in the box.
We bought ourselves versus we're given. That was my thought. So
okay,
and that works for you guys. I haven't bought myself anything, but I have other things to show, so it's all good.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So go. What do you got, Barry? Do you want to go?
Yeah, I got a couple model kits that I haven't built, obviously, but also these were holiday gifts, but because I'm following the rules, I didn't buy myself anything. But I got the Phantom of the Opera. This is the old Aurora Phantom of the Opera model kit that has been reissued many times over the years. The molds are now owned by a company called Atlantis Models, so same artwork as the original one as in the old days, but different logo. And this is the glow-in-the-dark version. I probably won't paint it as a glow-in-the-dark model. I'll probably paint the whole thing up, but...
if it's glow-in-the-dark, what are you supposed to just leave, like, the skin?
I think it's only, like, the hands and the face that are glow-in-the-dark.
If you go very thin on the hands and the face... Some people have done a good job with glow-in-the-dark things, having it luminescent.
Yeah, you can still light a little, but I don't know. I'll have to see once I get into building it. But I think it actually comes with both parts, the glow-in-the-dark parts and the non-glow-in-the-dark parts.
Cool.
And this one, and I don't know, I don't think that this is the original face sculpt on this, but this is made to look like Lon Chaney. It's actually got the Lon Chaney Estates logo on it. So.
Oh, interesting.
So I got that, and I also got... the Forgotten Prisoner Aurora model kit.
I built that as a kid.
Yep. I remember all these from when I was a kid. This is also the glow-in-the-dark version.
I never saw that.
Oh, you never saw this kit? It's actually, if you look at the picture, it's like basically a skeleton chained up.
Skeleton chained to the wall, in like a kind of alcove thing.
But
obscure, not that they're obscure, but models.
Yeah, I mean, these are fun. These are reissues, of old kits that... I built, 40 years ago, but it'll be fun to build them with some actual modeling and painting skills now and see what I can do with them. That one always
struck me as like a diorama piece behind your other horror models, And
yeah, they did a bunch of that kind of stuff. And they actually, I mean, back in the 60s, they made accessory kits that had like rats and all these extra things in them that you could use to customize.
I remember a skeleton and an Iron Maiden. And
they had a hanging cage that was nothing but a hanging cage.
Yep.
All kinds of stuff they did back then, and a lot of that stuff been reissued. But
yep.
Look, unfortunately, it's going to be a dark winter, as they say. So these are going to be the kind of things that keep me sane through it. So, that's all I have. Todd, what's in the box?
Okay. So recently I decided I wanted one of these in my collection. So this is actually the sideshow Luke Skywalker from Return of the Jedi, and it's done really well. I gotta say, I like it. I think I like the head sculpt on it better than the Hot Toys one. He's a little more. The Hot Toys one, he's got like his mouth is kind of slightly open. He looks. I think this looks a little more like Luke in the Mandalorian. He's got a very kind of serious dour face on. I am seriously thinking about dyeing the cape and the underthing black. I think it'd be kind of neat to have like him a la Mandalorian. I did the belt the way that he did in Mandalorian with the belt on top of the tunic, and it's pretty cool. It's a nice figure, and it comes with every permutation of his costumes from that film. It's got the Endor outfit with a separate head, and then different accessories and whatnot, a bunch of different hands. Whereas the Hot Toys one, you got to buy actually 2 different figures to get all that same stuff, and it's a little less expensive too.
That's the current one, though, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, it's available.
Oh yeah, no, this isn't the old school one. And they did a really nice job with it. I would not put this. It's less money than the Hot Toys one, and I wouldn't quite put it on the level of the Hot Toys one, but. For a second Luke figure for me, it's fine. And like I said, I'm very pleased with it. I do like the head sculpt, but you definitely, the faces, as I would say, close to a Hot Toys. The eyes are very, very good. The hair doesn't have the definition that you would see in a Hot Toys figure.
You only have 2 Lukes?
What's that?
You only have 2 Lukes?
I only have 2 Lukes. It's the only Star Wars figure I have 2 of. So
I'm kidding. I think I have 7 Lukes.
Actually, it's not true. I have 2 Obi-Wans. So, but anyways, it's a cool looking figure. I'm sure they're going to come up with a Mandalorian, Luke Skywalker at some point.
That'd be cool. I would actually buy that because I don't.
And that
what do I have? I have the.
But that will take like a year.
I have the Snowspeeder.
Yeah, you pre-ordered the Snowspeeder one. I think that's my 7th one.
Somebody parted one of these out on eBay, and I missed the tunic and the cape. I was like a day behind when they went looking. So if I could buy a duplicate set, I would definitely try dyeing them. I'd be interested in seeing if I could make them all black because I think that was a cool look. And
I don't know, was it brown in the movie? I felt like it was this dark gray. It
no,
depends
it's brown.
on the lighting.
It's brown.
It's brown, and but it's definitely black in the Mandalorian, and the underrobe is too, whereas it's a kind of a dark gray. And
the Hot Toys figures in general, but the Star Wars Hot Toys figures right now the prices have just gone insane. Yeah. So if Hot Toys is paying attention, which I'm sure they are, they'll definitely do a second version that's Mandalorian themed.
They did the Transport Trooper. Like, come on.
Yeah,
that's
exactly. What I'm saying. I mean, if they can get it licensed, they'll do it. And this was, I would say, this is considerably less expensive than it would have been. I got it on sale too, but like I said, it was about $200. So
I think I had the old school one.
You did have the old school one.
I think I either sold it or it could still actually be in the cabinet. I really don't even remember to tell you
the old school one had it was typical sideshow. He had kind of an outsized head and very
it was
outsized head and those 1,000-yard stare eyes.
Yeah. I mean, the Hot Toys one is.
I must have sold it.
The Hot Toys one is really good, but I agree with you. The facial expression is a little weird, but the skin tone and the detailing on the Hot Toys stuff, the sideshow just doesn't compare.
No,
yet.
And this is, I will say, this is one of their better things. This is good. It's not on the same level as that. This to me is more reminiscent of one of the really good knockoffs that I bought, and it's more on that level. No one's ever going to catch Hot Toys on this.
Yeah.
So, but it's like I said, for the price and that, like I said, it's I like having all the the different permutations all in one kit. So
yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah,
cool.
So, Dave, what
about you, Dave?
Okay, so in asking Mark what he wanted for Christmas a while back, he's like he put all these crazy things on. So one of the things he put on was the placard chips from Casino Royale. He's a big James Bond fan. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I guess he must have seen the prop store one somewhere because they were auctioning some of them off on the prop store. They went for like $6,000. So I'm like, let me do some research. And there's a guy who actually makes them. It was just, I came across it in a deep search. This guy on this, like, practically looks like a GeoCities website, like, in Vegas somewhere. But
there's a bunch of those old school, like, we were looking not that long ago at the guy that made the Planet of the Apes backpack. And that website also looked like a GeoCities website.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So this guy made this is I got myself one. I got him the whole set. So this is the Casino Royale $500,000 chip replica.
Wow.
And then they make the $1 million one that's a little bigger, and then I think $100,000 one that's a little smaller. So I'm like, these were not even expensive. They were like $10 a piece. I'm like, let me get one. I'll put it on my James Bond shelf. But they do it a nice job. This guy's in Vegas. I guess he actually works for a company that makes real chips. So he's
got access to all the right materials and everything.
Yeah, and it's like the lettering is buried on. As you can see, it's got all these layers. I mean,
that's cool.
$10 a piece. They're cool. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, he's got
the whole set. I told you guys I went to a distillery in the Bahamas where they actually shot that, they shot the casino scene, and there's all these placards on the property saying, like, this is where he jumped over the wall, and this is where the car parked, and this is where it was like there's really trading on that. So
yeah, but
that's cool stuff.
Surprised I could find it. Okay, moving right along. So we all saw Wonder Woman 1984. Now we have to decide: do we want to get in depth? Do we want to just not give spoilers? Do we want to?
I think at this point we're far enough out from it that it's just.
I don't think many people have seen it because there's still people have not accessed their HBO Max even though they get it for free.
Well, come on, Dave! It was the #1 movie in theaters for the last 2 weeks in a row.
This is true.
And it's made $5 million. I mean, I just don't want us to spend like an hour on it, but
no.
Okay,
but I think we should spend a few minutes, and we should either advise people to watch it or maybe tell people to pass, depending on what we thought.
All right, I'm going in with one of my questions. I know you hate when I do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I ask each of you, and I ask each if it's an if-then. If Wonder Woman 2017 was a X, then I give Wonder Woman 1984 a Y. Does anyone want to go first?
Well, Dave, you set it up. Go.
I was thinking, and I didn't remember. Wonder Woman, the original, is an 8 to me, and I looked back at my superhero spreadsheet. I give it an 8, and I'm looking at what comparing it to. Winter Soldier's a 10, Endgame's 9.5.
But again, we're comparing it to that film, so yeah,
yeah. If that's an 8, I give this one a 6.
Well, I would give that an 8.5, and I would give this a 6.5. So
okay.
So we're pretty much
on the same
ballpark.
Scale.
Yeah,
I really liked the original Wonder Woman. I would give it an 8 as well, and I would give this more.
Let me hold this here just in case.
No, there's no crystal skulling. I would give the original an 8, and I would give this one a 5.
Oof, nice.
So
And I feel like I'm being a little generous with the 5.
Okay, before we get too deep into this,
I spent $100,000 on a home theater to watch this movie.
Yeah, okay.
No,
so
I
was talking to somebody about this film the other day, who posed this to me, and this had not occurred to me at all, but from this perspective, it completely changes how you look at the movie. Okay, is this an 80s themed superhero film set in the 80s? See what I'm saying? So is this film meant to be like an 80s superhero film?
No, it's not.
No, but I'm just saying, when you think of it in that context,
no one would be that stupid.
It's actually not as bad, okay? Because it's when you apply those sensibilities to it and stuff, but I don't understand.
The plot of this is equivalent to the plot of the 70s Wonder Woman. It's that sort of lane.
No, I put this on
This is like the Superman 3.
Superman, the Quest for Peace.
Yeah, this is Superman 3 or Superman 4 level plot.
Yeah,
but this isn't... I mean, I know we're talking about it, and obviously there's spoilers, but the main villain is no better than a $6 million man villain.
I agree entirely, and that's what I'm saying. This is 80s lame in every possible way.
There can't have been. It's just a coincidence that it's.
I don't think. I think this goes back to like when we were talking about some of the older disaster piece movies, and you're like, do you think they knew they were making a bad movie? They were not aiming to make a cheesy 80s movie.
I'm actually
they were
wondering
shooting
if
for
subliminally they were drawing from this era so much that they made a bad 80s superhero film.
No, it just did not do this character justice. It did not do. If I was Pedro Pascal, I would have sued to not let this be released. He is coming off the triumphant season of The Mandalorian,
think about this,
only for this thing to come out.
This guy has now been in two bad Wonder Woman adaptations.
Was he in the
He was in the Adrian Palicki.
He was one of the main characters.
Yeah,
in the,
he
in
was.
The pilot.
I didn't remember
Yep.
that
In the Adrian
at all.
Palicki, he was a police detective.
All right, so let's just... You brought up Pedro Pascal's character. Let's talk about him for a minute. So he's basically the equivalent of like a infomercial huckster, right?
Yeah.
He's a con artist.
He's like the My Pillow guy,
right? So how does he know that this magical rock even exists?
Exactly. Don't go into don't dig into the like.
No, but I find that to me is the major flaw. This guy is a shyster. He would not have known to be tracking down this mythical stone.
Well, maybe he just heard about it in passing.
Nobody knew about
it. Ironically, back in the day when this character was introduced, in the comics, people likened him to Donald Trump. He was this, like larger than life, but not a lot behind him kind of guy, and he was all about the appearances and promotion and all this kind of stuff, and he was just had that little kind of slimy edge to him, and that was Maxwell Lord. And then they later evolved him and gave him psychic powers and did all this other shit with it. But as he started out, he was a huckster, and I was like, okay, they got this, and then they start going with it, and it's like, no, he never questioned himself. He never, there was no weakness to this guy whatsoever. He was all bluster. He was all hype. He was all. They didn't even take the character that was already drawn on the page, fully defined. They didn't even translate him well. They couldn't even make a viable character out of a viable character.
But that's in this day and age of Endgame and all these movies, and and even the first, that's the villain you pick.
Thanos had magic rocks too.
And then
you can't even compare, these two villains. But I mean, Thanos had 6 magic rocks, or 6.
Did you ever once feel like there was any consequences? It was just so lame that they're like, it's just a shame. It's really a shame. I mean, and the character's good. She's terrific as Wonder Woman and Diana, and they put this awful story out.
It was a shame. It was also a waste. I want my 2 years of anticipation back.
Yeah,
me too.
Because I really expected this was going to be something good. Clever things have been done with the 1980s. Okay.
Stranger Things.
Do you think
Stranger
they
Things,
caused the pandemic and released and invented HBO Max just because they knew this movie was never going to live up to the hype and then put it out?
They apparently filmed that final winter scene after they knew it was going to be a Christmas release. That wasn't even in the original cut of the movie.
What, the end credit thing?
Not the Diana thing. The thing at the very end of the movie where she comes out and it's snowing and the kids throw the snowballs at her.
Yes.
That felt so forced for Christmas.
Yeah.
No.
All right, so that's my main problem with Maxwell Lord. All right, now let's talk about Steve Trevor. Like, I almost didn't even have an issue with the way they brought him back. Like, it made sense in this crappy storyline.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
But why did he have to take over another man's body?
This is my thing. And I was the same way. It's like, okay, yes, she can accept him, and yes, when she looks at him, she only sees the man she loves and all this, but they are putting this poor bastard in danger, okay, and basically taking his body for a joyride, and there's no moral compunction about that whatsoever.
But every other wish that was granted in this movie didn't require, like, somebody to give up their being in order for it to be manifested.
The whole monkey's paw thing, there's always... But that wasn't the issue. It wasn't the issue was you can't have what you want the most. It wasn't you can't have what you want because you fucking stole this man's life. Okay? That wasn't even on the table. It was...
He could have just showed up and then just disappeared.
Yeah, totally. I would have been fine with... That would have been just as good as what they did. Or just as believable as what they did.
There's so many issues that does it matter. The guy's wearing a fanny pack, and no offense, Barry. I know you warned them.
Yeah, no, I thought about that. And like, if she pulled this guy out in front of a bus, okay, he was about to get hit and killed, or a piano was going to drop on him, or something like that, and Steve's soul gets transferred into him. Okay, this is someone whose life was over, or something like that. But the idea that he just hijacked this guy, took him in a plane,
like some random dude,
it's high-speed chase.
Yeah,
it's really a shame what they did.
Drove in between two trucks, which were going to crush Diana, despite the fact that she could kick one in the air a moment before. It's it just. All
right, my next big beef, and I get that they just wanted to put all the Wonder Woman tropes into this movie, but you've got a World War I pilot, you steal a jet, and A, he knows instinctively how to fly it, and B, they're going from Washington, D.C. to Egypt, and that jet had enough fuel to get them there.
Barry, there's no fighter jet ever built that has side-by-side seats. Okay?
I know that too.
But then you wouldn't have had the invisible plane with the
fireworks.
With the fireworks. That was just like, well, let's fly up to the Enterprise
that was the
shuttle.
The Disney ride, where you flew through the fireworks. It was like, it was fun there. Let's do it here. You know, the thing with the big screen where you flew around.
Yeah.
Soaring.
And she couldn't. She made a coffee mug invisible and couldn't find it, but yet she had no problem making a jet invisible.
And I even liked the way they did it. You know, it was kind of neat because they did make the thing invisible and stuff like that. But they just pulled that out of their ass. It was like, oh, you know, I could do it just like this. And it's like, so then later in the story, there had to be a moment when she needed to hide Steve or she had to conceal herself or whatever, and she made herself... No, she did not do that. They never used this again. They never referenced it again. It was just a throwaway thing.
No. You know what line was missing from this movie, though? And I almost, it would have been fitting. They can fly now. They can fly now. That should have been in here, too, because now all of a sudden she could fly. No, but she can't fly when she's fighting in Batman vs. Superman or in Justice League. But she can jump really far, but she can't fly.
Wonder Woman, that's true. Does jump out the window and soar off. The last one, okay? In the present day. She does.
Yeah.
And over the years, she has kind of back and forth had the ability to fly and not had the ability to fly. And sometimes it's like the Superman thing where he's not actually flying. He just like leaps and then rides the air current kind of thing, like the way he was originally. This is probably more like that. I think what they had there was...
They explained that, and then she's done it in the comics, supposedly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But
again, far from the worst issue.
Exactly. It's not the worst issue. And the tying it into his telling her how to fly and all that kind of stuff, yeah, kind of okay. There was so much shit that you just had to, like, say, okay, I'm ignoring that. Okay, I'm ignoring that.
This was a total check your brain at the door movie, but
exactly.
The first one wasn't, and that's why I expected more.
Now we got Patty Jenkins doing the next Star Wars. I'm a little worried.
Oh God, she went from she can do no wrong to really.
I said that to my son at dinner tonight. I said I'm a little worried now about Rogue Squadron. I thought the opening Themyscira competition thing was great. I was like, oh, yeah, this is good. And once we got past that, the movie just really took a hard...
And they totally did... I don't feel like the trailer sort of was like, oh, this is going to be fun, the 80s. I don't think, other than Steve dressing stupidly, we really didn't get any fun 80s.
That mall sequence in the beginning felt a little 80s just because of the mall. But yeah, there wasn't a lot of 80s to it. They could have milked it
a little better.
No, there wasn't. And the faux Reagan president was
I didn't think the Cheetah as a secondary villain. I thought Kristen Wiig did a nice job, and I thought she was.
But it was also, she was a semi-sympathetic character, and it was like, and he wasn't that menacing. So she wasn't all that menacing.
Oh, I'm saying if there was a big bad and she was the secondary, we would have been fine because she was interesting.
She was very much like Catwoman from Batman
Returns.
Yeah, she was
the mousy, right? But that's also a trope, and that's where that's one of the things where, like I said, you can look at this in the context of an '80s movie as a theme, but I don't know that if this had come out in 1989, this would have been good. It's
I've
really
worked in the television business for over 30 years now, and I had no idea that you could use a television broadcast signal to touch millions and millions or billions of people around the world.
Come on, Barry. That's like on the third floor of your building. They didn't tell you that?
I had no idea that those particles or the satellite transmission waves could be used in that way.
It's a secret government program. They just you're not quite of the security clearance to know about it.
Well, hey, we got C. Linda Carter at the end. That was cool.
That was cool. I gotta say, I have this figure on pre-order. I have the Golden Armor figure on pre-order.
Oh.
And which looks really cool. And I've got the armored Batman from Batman vs Superman, so they're going to go side by side. There was a point where I was actually relieved when she took the wings off because I was like, oh, thank God I don't have to waste 18 inches of display space. I can just stand her up without the wings because I own this thing now.
I didn't hate this movie, but I wanted to like it so much more, and that's why I gave it the 5.
It should have been so much better. I mean, it should have been
This is criminally lost potential.
Big time. Big time.
And I will tell you, there have been movies recently where I have so desperately wanted them to be better than they were that I have probably rated them higher than they deserve to be. I couldn't even convince myself that this was good. I mean, good. It's
they just keep trying and they just keep missing. And I Wonder Woman now stands out to me as it's just an anomaly in the DC, canon of movies at this point because it was one of the few good ones versus. Anything Marvel that comes out these days, I just go into it very open-minded and optimistic because I feel like they can do no wrong, and they'll eventually make a mistake or a misstep. But
I said
this is like every single thing they do.
Yeah, So I said something recently. I said, in a world without Marvel movies, as a spectacle, would this be interesting?
No,
because I think visually there was some cool stuff in it.
There was, but story
was so incongruous and pointless that it just didn't. the flipping the truck flying over thing, the grabbing the two kids that somehow she could see from like hundreds of yards away, even though it took like a minute for the car to get to them.
Right, but she landed so hard with those kids that their brains would have been
yes,
scrambled.
This is what I'm saying. It's like those kids' necks would have snapped. Okay? It's like...
Well, so would Lois Lane when Superman caught her. She would have been cut in ribbons. Yeah. But you can't have a superhero movie where the villain is not a villain at all. He was an annoyance at best. I mean, I do feel bad for Pedro. I mean, like...
I disagree with that, Dave. I think you could have an interesting villain who's an annoyance at best. I think it's very hard to take like Lex Luthor seriously in the Superman movies and stuff, but at least he's interesting.
But there's something behind him.
Right, that's what I'm saying. This was just...
I couldn't even really tell you.
Guy. He, even in the Christopher Reeve one, obviously he's just a regular dude, but he's diabolical.
But I couldn't even tell you what this guy's motivation was, really.
Make his son proud, like.
But he didn't have. He could have done a lot of the same things he did with different motivation that maybe would have helped you understand why he was doing it. He just kept going, and it bounced between. He needed people's positive energy because he was sick versus he had these aspirations. And I never really felt like I understood what the hell he was even doing.
It was just poorly designed.
He just couldn't believe people in Georgia didn't vote for him. No, I'm sorry. It's
just there's not much more you can say about it.
It's too bad.
I felt bad. And I thought Gal Gadot was really good. So it's not like
she's terrific.
She had nothing to work with here. She did the most of what she had to work with.
If they would have just had no dialogue and she just flew around on her lasso in different weird armor, I could have watched that for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And this movie did not need to be 2.5 hours long.
Even the armor, it's just like, oh, this is something sitting in the back of my office, and somehow I found time to go back and get it. It's
one thing that I didn't follow, and I watched a YouTube video trying to help make sense of this movie, and something that I didn't realize, and I guess they did this to set up a potential future movie, but so the cheetah, whatever her name was, Barbara, cheetah. She makes two wishes. She gets the first wish, and she gets Diana's power, and then she makes a second wish, and that's when she turns into the apex predator, and that wish got reversed. But she ends that movie with still having Diana's power. So theoretically, she still has the potential to be a villain in this universe, just not in cat form. Yeah. Which I did not get that at all watching that movie. When that movie ended,
I didn't get that.
I also think
it
that
didn't matter.
Even the getting Diana's power could have been handled better, because Diana sporadically had power and then didn't have power and got injured but didn't get injured. And I think if they had just juxtaposed it, done like the Corsican Brothers thing, where like when Barbara was using the power, Diana didn't have the power. Like she was directly...
That would have made her a much more interesting villain.
It would have made her much more interesting, because a fight between them with the power going back and forth between the two of them could have been interesting. But it was just like...
Even if she was someone... Let's say you lose Max Lord... She works at the museum, they come across this thing, and then all of a sudden she turns into this, like what you're saying, where she has her power, and she could be a substantial villain, and there's no, like, what's the motivation, it's all built in there.
Okay, take it to, since we're rewriting the movie, okay, she's simultaneously drawing from her power. You get the two of them working together. The thing gets stolen. You get the two of them working together, trying to get it back. You almost have like a sort of like buddy movie thing. But like, so one is becoming more powerful and becoming evil, and they're kind of working together, kind of thing, and then they end up separating and fighting. There's a lot of things you could have done with this. I think they were really wedded to the idea of getting Steve back in some way, shape, or form, and contrived everything around that.
and you could have still done it if you had this mysterious
even losing him the way she did and giving him up the way she did was almost hollow and felt like pointless. I mean, just the turning around and walking away thing, I don't know. I think if you could have reversed the angle and had it be that guy, and I don't know. It was just odd. It was.
Yeah. All right. So after this discussion, you still think it's a 6? Did I sway you to drop this down below a 6, or are you standing with your 6?
I will say I know people that think it's not as bad as we do, and
I was probably being generous.
I might have been being generous, but I will say in the Marvel universe, it's not a 6.
Oh,
okay. In the DC universe, it's probably a 6. Okay.
What's Justice League? Is this better or worse than Justice League?
Oh, this is probably on the same plane as Justice League.
Justice League at least had a little more to it, and sort of while not well done, a little more of a through line
it does suffer from the same, we put a lot of stuff in a blender and it didn't come out right feel to it.
I'm hoping that Justice League gets redeemed with this Snyder cut, but the version that's out there, this is better. I think this is better than that, just because that just is a steaming pile. I would say that this is probably on par with Batman vs Superman, which isn't saying much, but I think Batman vs Superman is better than Justice League.
I got to say, I'm sorry I'm saying this. I think Batman vs Superman is better than this. I disagree with a lot of choices in that film, but it's a lot more coherent than this thing is.
Yeah.
Anyway, Man of Steel is probably Man of Steel and Wonder Woman. The original Wonder Woman are the two best movies in the
and I don't put DC Man of Steel. I put a notch below Wonder Woman, but it's better. It's way better than that.
I don't think it's that good. I think there's Wonder Woman, and then there's all the other movies are not good. There's one good one, and the rest are fighting for varying degrees of not good
or worse. Yeah, this just a shame. Like we all said, I mean, the first Wonder Woman was such a surprise.
It had so much potential. Yeah. I really thought they would have done the right thing here.
Okay, so is there a DC
and they had 6
film,
extra months,
not of this run, that you could put as a 10? Because I could put Batman Begins as a 10
in this universe. Oh yeah,
no, but
Batman Begins
all the DC
excellent.
films ever made, justify Wonder Woman being an 8 on that scale, and that puts this down at like a 5.
I don't know if I'd put. So we have to have a 10.
Yeah, but I'm saying if you got to have a 10 within of all the DC movies made, I would probably.
If Batman Begins is a 10, then this is then the original Wonder Woman is probably a 9 and a 9.5, and this is still like a 6.
Yeah, and I would say Dark Knight is. I like Dark Knight better. I know you can't have Dark Knight without Batman Begins. Yeah,
that's why.
But I like Dark Knight better. I would say Dark Knight's a 10 and Wonder Woman is an 8.
Wonder Woman gets elevated when you're making it only DC movies.
Right.
So yes. Wonder Woman is like a 9.5 to me, and Batman Begins is a 10.
You're not going to agree with this, but I would also just, in the context of its time and what it did and what it accomplished, I'd give Superman like a 9.5 or a 10.
I would totally. So, it almost still holds up. Yeah, it revolutionized.
It really did, but to be able to do that when they did that film, you can't justify this film. I mean, that was light, and they still told a story, and they still had a little menace to it. And they still did all these different things. This is a film set in the same era, and it's silly and pointless. And
there was nothing in this movie that even came close to the No Man's Land sequence from the first Wonder Woman. Nothing.
Oh God, no. Yeah, I agree with that. I honestly believe that taking that movie back 2 decades and setting it in World War I was an absolute stroke of genius, and I think they this was a total mistake.
When I watched the YouTube analysis of the movie, there's a lot of little details that they put in there that are really cool things that, I wouldn't have picked up on, and people that are really into this universe probably might have picked up on. A lot of, really good Easter egg type things, but all of that doesn't matter if the plot and the story aren't there, and the plot and the story
Easter eggs are cool when the rest of it, like in Mandalorian.
Right.
They're cool when it's good stuff. Easter eggs lost in crap, it doesn't help.
Yep, I agree.
Yep.
All right, let us know what you think if you've seen it. If you have HBO, you get HBO Max for free. So just remember that people aren't signing. It's a free commercial. Sign up.
And if you really love this movie, just record a counterpoint, send it to us, and we'll review it. I would love to. I would really like to have a reason to like this movie, and because I tried hard and I can't find it. So
yeah.
But the figure's going to be awesome. So
yeah, like my IG-11.
Yes, exactly. I actually said that. I said, "Oh my God, I've just been buried." I just got killed by a pre-order. Yeah, that's okay. No, it's gonna look awesome.
So IG-11 got redeemed.
That was the best thing in the movie.
Yeah, IG-11 got redeemed. Your golden armored Wonder Woman did not, unfortunately.
It's like I said, it's still the best thing in the movie. Yeah. Hey, were you tempted to go back and look to see if Aristia actually looks anything like young Linda Carter in the flashback?
Oh, I didn't.
Because that would have been cool if that was, and you just, you didn't pick up on it, but I don't think so.
One of the things that they pointed out in this YouTube review that I watched was that when Linda Carter does spin around, her arms are kind of out in the way that Linda Carter used to spin to turn into Wonder Woman.
She did the Wonder Woman twirl. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should have totally put CGI'd old young Linda Carter in there.
Which they could have. They definitely had the capacity to do that. And which I was just
think
wondering,
it was. I think I've read that it was her eyes, because you only really see her eyes anyway. I think they said that it was her eyes. Okay, but who knows?
So that would be good. I would give it. I would get a little respect for that, because that thing at the end felt just tacked on, and it was nice, but still, it was yeah.
Anyway, we have a final thought, I believe.
Yes.
Right? Go ahead, Todd.
Okay, so it took us a while due to the vagaries of the United States Postal Service, but this week, Dave, right, you were the last one, finally got an item which Barry and I have been very good about keeping our mouths shut about. Our very good friend Sean Huckster made us an incredible ornament that, like no other, sums up the year that 2020 was. I will post pictures of that this week so that you'll see it when the show goes up. But it is a dumpster fire. So it's a little dumpster with a wreath on top, the year 2020 on the front, and it has a tea light inside, so it actually flickers. Mm-hmm. It's brilliant. And Sean is an absolute genius when it comes to 3D printing and design. And this is it's just incredibly clever and beautifully executed, and it hung on my tree because I got mine first. And
it hung on my tree for a day before I took it down.
Yeah, I got it. I got it a little late because I know that we had problems with the mail delivery. But yeah, we had it out after Christmas, but I had it out for New Year's, and we actually had my little sister-in-law and 2 other people over for New Year's, and it was a hit. Everybody loved it. So
yeah, no, it's absolutely great, and
it is very well done. Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sean, and we wish you Happy New Year, my friend.
Yep. Okay, next week, Discovery, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's the final episode this week.
Yep, we should talk about it for sure.
And I know normally, and we talked about it before the show, we all get together over the holidays and we do the regular Joe gift exchange which we didn't do because of COVID and all that, but we're going to figure out a way to do that.
We have the gifts. We just haven't gotten together to exchange them.
Yeah, so we're going to maybe do that virtually.
Yeah. So
because every second that we don't exchange gifts is a second that we can't buy stuff for ourselves.
Right. We got to get this out of the way. Because some of us have already started. So
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's coming up too.
So.
And we'll let you know about that. And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Happy New Year.